All right, here we are now on the map in the bottom left-hand corner. From Team StarTale, he is Red, he is Zerg. He is Curious, folks. And I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to rally a little bit for his team here against, in the top right-hand corner, his opponent, Team FXO's very own Gumiho.
The Tal Terran. Terrible Tal Terran.
Kev, I mean, tier toward up, let's be honest here. We were talking about, FXO and how, okay, I mean, they don't have the thickest roster of players who do well in the single leagues, but, man, they just have so many good team players.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, they are back-to-back GSTL champions, so they've obviously done very well for themselves there. They've moved up from amateur into Premier Division here. In the IPTL, they are currently sitting 1-0 in their group. They really have a lot going for them at the moment.
Yeah, and StarTale, of course, have been clinching a lot of titles for their players individually at recent tournaments, but then, of course, managed to take the most recent IPTL season over Team IM with a fairly decisive victory. So, now we're in this situation where they're down 1-3. And, I already said my opinion here, Kev. FXO, I don't know. I feel like they're going to look really, really strong this season overall. But what are your thoughts on StarTale coming back here, pulling the win?
Well, I mean, like I said, StarTale has only a couple of players left. After Curious, their roster is still very good, but you've already used Life, Bomber, Parting, Curious. You're getting pretty short of players that have reliable matchup all over the place. I would imagine that we're going to probably see Squirtle, given the fact that Squirtle was the last guy at the Going World Championship, but the only guy who was able to stop E.G. Stefano. And he's certainly your most well-rounded player that's left. But then you have to go through the likes of, we were talking about Whale the other day. We were talking about Leenock is always the presence that's around. So for Squirtle, to be able to go through all four of those players would be very tough. They need Curious to step up now and tie up this set.
Yeah, they absolutely do. You couldn't be more right here. And cross positions on Whirlwind, pretty appropriate place to get this done. It's a very large map with a nice open center. So it can be difficult for Terrans to move out at times. Positioning your siege tanks alone is just a challenge in and of itself. Not a lot of places to hide them, not a lot of cliffs and ledges towards the middle. It's a game that can really, or a map, excuse me, that can really favor the Zerg in the later stages of the game. Now, that said, drops very, very powerful in this map. In fact, there's an area, if you look to the right-hand side of Curious's expansion, if you get to late-game TVZ, I'm sorry, not of his expansion, of his main base. There's this aerial zone where you can actually have medevacs get access to the main base to the left, the third above them, and the fourth, fifth, sixth, whenever it's taken, that expansion down here in the bottom right. So drop play can be really, really strong here, and Gumiho's pretty good with that.
Yeah, Gumiho also favors in the late game scenario a very mech slash airbase Terran. He loves going for multiple Ravens. He loves moving into battle cruisers when the time comes. So if this game stretches on, which on Whirlwind it could certainly do just that, I would expect to see something along those lines. The question is Curious going to give him that possibility? Curious can play towards that super late game, but he also has the potential to just kind of fire the afterburners and then swarm you with a massive amount of banelings in the mid game.
Yeah, doesn't he, though? In this situation, we see him making 6 lings. Curious exactly for what reason this is. Maybe come in, try to snipe an SCV or two. Could definitely be an equitable trade if he pulls it off. And, oh, that's so nice. Kills that SCV just before the additional Zerglings do scout, so Gumiho only managed to get a glimpse at 2 there.
Gumiho, of course, going for a third command center. This is pretty standard Gumiho play. I mean, nothing looking out of the ordinary for him. He's on a single gas as well. We'll probably see him jump up to a second, as this is going to be an uncloaked Banshee, of course. That pops out for him. Few Zerglings just, sitting up there, getting ready to siege this up, but there's already a bunker in position to drive them away for the most part, and then a couple Hellions are going to follow this soon. Yeah,
curious why he didn't come in. Curious why Curious didn't come in with the 6 Zerglings there. Will manage to not get an SCV, in fact. I thought that was the one that was already damaged. But it was not. And Curious doesn't get any damage in, but does get some scouting information, so.
Yeah, we'll see how valuable that is for him. This is, like we said, going to be an uncloaked Banshee. There's a lot of minerals saved up. I would expect him to probably take not just his second gas, but hopefully his third and fourth here in a bit too, unless he's planning some sort of a big crafty all-in play here in a bit, as his mineral count is actually getting very high.
He may go for the push. We'll have to see. He's only got one Overlord on the way right now. Here's the thing. The timing of those Hellions tells Curious that he is up against a player on 3 CCs. Alternatively, there could be something else crazy going on. There could be 7 barracks or 2 starport Banshee in there right now, but yeah, your Hellions are normally popping out around 450, and in this situation, and it's closer to 6 minutes if you go for it after the command center, but here Gumiho's were quite late.
And Curious is actually doing the Hyun build, the Hyun TVZ build, almost down to the second right now. Roach Warren with 7 roaches to poke, followed up by double evolution chambers, or 8 roaches to poke in this case, but still going to be essentially the same. So he can move out there, and it's designed to intercept Hellions that are making their way out on the map, any sort of like a Hellion push at the beginning of the game, and that's exactly what this is going to do. We see 3rd and 4th gas being dropped down, and this is incredibly Hyun-like. Now, Hyun goes 2 directions from here. Usually invest in double upgrades with both the evolution chambers already in play.
Really common, yeah.
But the question is, which upgrade does he go for? And that's going to be really telling for us, because it tells us how quickly he decides to go for his eventual, and there we go, it's melee upgrade. So he may be thinking long term, just going straight for Hive pretty soon.
Yeah, that was actually really a great thing to point out, Kevin, because he needed to see what else, he's seen the Hellions. Now, is this the mech Hellions, or is this Hellion Banshee Hellions? And so the second he sees that Banshee, we saw him start that +1 melee, even though he was almost to 200 gas. Now, does manage to lose a couple of units here. Loses the Queen, and how high is that Banshee on hit points right now? Because with the Hellions helping out here, it's still quite high, but nice trapping here from Curious, denying the retreat here for these Hellions.
Yeah, this was a little bit mismanaged by Curious, though. I mean, making those 8 roaches, it's designed to make sure that you don't take any damage from the Hellions. And the Hellions have killed a few workers. They've killed 2 queens, and this Banshee has been able to pick away at this hatchery pretty much the entire time. So, looks like 2 workers did end up falling. But 2 workers, 2 queens, that's pretty significant, especially with how long these have been pulled off. Especially
the queens, I couldn't agree with you more on that. Really stunting Curious's production there for a moment. If he gets the Banshee, that would be a huge victory, but it looks like it is going to manage to escape. But very nice creep. Let's put in a couple of great things here for Curious. He got that 3rd down super fast, which Hellion Banshee is just so good at denying if you go for it late. And he has a lot of creep spread on the map, like a ton already for just 11 minutes and 3 fast bases.
Glial Reconstitution is being researched. Gumiho not going for a mech composition, obviously, so we saw those multiple barracks being added on before, but just playing that normal biomech style.
Yep.
Still has a number of Hellions to try and sneak back in and do some damage. That was the great Achilles heel to the Hyun build for a while, was some sort of Hellion counterattacks. But we'll see if Gumiho can try and get anything done here. Mostly he just needs to keep setting his opponent back, which he's successfully done so far.
I mean, as you pointed out, Kev, he's going for bio, not mech, so it's still going to be a little bit here before he can really push out, because he did open with that Hellion Banshee heavy harass build, which it got a little done. He killed 2 queens, but let's also point out Curious missed 1 larva inject, which is not so great, but he's not pulling that much money. In fact, he's pulling mostly gas in his infestation pits getting ready to finish, so he'll be able to dump that soon enough. And Gumiho did lose about 6 Hellions, I think it was.
Something like that.
So, I mean, he's really put Curious in a position where Curious knows he can, take this 4th base, and he can play a little bit greedy and go for the double upgrades in the fast infestation pit here, because he knows any push from Gumiho is going to be kind of weak on the push.
Yeah, this is precisely what players tried to do against the Hyun build, though, is if they were able to poke in and do damage, they immediately followed it up with a very quick attack that was designed to destroy their opponent's 3rd. And that's what Gumiho's doing. He's shifting his units into position. This is forcing out a lot more units from Curious at the moment, when he just wanted to put up a bunch of infestors. And that's what this is timed to do, is stop those that infestor production. And that's precisely what Gumiho is doing at the moment.
Curious, though, yeah, he doesn't want to engage this entirely. Keeping those roaches alive is so important to him right now. He has a lot of lings about to spawn. He does not want to lose these units quite yet. Banshee's arriving. He will manage to clean these up, but now there's Hellions in the mineral line. Lings are going to be surrounding them, and he needs his queens over here in order to deal with these Banshees now. Yeah,
looks like the Banshees are going to power through yet another queen. That's a lot of them that have actually been killed in this game. More workers actually dying to begin with. The Banshees now being lured back into the Spore Crawler, but they don't bite. They go after the roaches up at the front. Nice job by Curious, though, to have the perfect number of units, not just to defend, but also to continue his infestor production, because that's really what Gumiho wanted to stop there.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, You know, you always talk about it. Hold that thought, guys. We got to surround the on this tank right now. It's going to get taken out. These Lings, oh, they're even going to be able to get inside, and we'll see if they can pick off an SCV or 3. And one goes down, a second one as well. Nice. Oh, no, it does manage to survive, but nice focus fire there from Curious on the injured units. Oh, second tank going to be taken down here for Gumiho, and that is putting him in an ever-increasing rough spot, but he still is up in supply, 158 to just 128 right now.
And Gumiho's going to take his own 4th base down here at the bottom right-hand corner. Now, Curious, of course, is saving up for his eventual switch over to his Greater Spire. He's got Spire and Hive coming up at almost exactly the same time. Looks like about a 15-second difference, but not going to make that big of a deal. And he'll be able to move towards those Broodlords very, very quickly. Now, Gumiho, on the other hand, I want to see what the response is going to be from him. He's adding on barracks number 6 and 7 at the moment. Hopefully, we're going to see that eventual starport transition, maybe even a little bit earlier than normal. He's going to have one big moment to get in with some damage or try to get in and do an attack before the Broodlords hit.
Yeah.
But once those stabilize, he needs to be prepared with multiple starports behind this.
I completely agree that he should go for that push. And I want to highlight that Curious sniped 2 tanks. And we just looked. Gumiho has 3. So, I mean, that Curious, essentially, he picked off half the tanks almost of Gumiho, and now any sort of pre-Broodlord timing is going to be so much easier for Curious to hold here. So, looks like drop play is going to be Gumiho's response to his kind of inability to push right now, even though he should be.
And we'll get away. Go Medevac. It makes it. Okay.
Only not quite the 10 range yet.
Yes. No, not 10 range, which Cats on Twitter had some funny things to say about that. He was like, I'm going to stream some Heart of the Swarm. Good job, Blizzard. I'm going to use these 10 range infestors. They are missile attacks now, I guess, though, so I guess units supposedly could dodge them, but 10 range is still ridiculously long on a fungal.
All right, so Curious is continuing with the harass right now. As I said, really like this decision because any sort of a big push right now, you know, you gotta do it, but if you can't, then you can't. And he's getting a lot of damage in right now, killing off a bunch of drones, going to delay some more mining time. These are exactly the types of maneuvers that he needs to be making.
Tried to hit in with another drop, wasn't able to get that one done. Looks like this is all going to get cleaned up, but did its job. It delayed his opponent, kept him pinned in for a while, and killed 19 workers in total. His opponent's sitting on 90, going to be 92, but of course a lot of those are going to get dropped into spine crawlers and eventual future tech bases, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Ooh, Gumiho is out here with a tank and just a small group of Marines right now. Looks like that was just for a little bit of scouting, and now he's going to be following this up with quite a few units, but Broodlords are already almost on the field here. And has he timed this out? Has Gumiho prepped for this? He's got Ghosts on the way right now, which will deal great with the Infestors, but...
Second Ghost Academy, too, so we're going to see Nuke play in just a bit.
Well, we'll see if Gumiho can translate that into some excellent positioning. Going to be pushing forward right now, trying to deny this 4th base, but his tanks aren't sieged. Fungal Grove's going down on these units, getting a lot of damage in.
Yeah, actually hits all the medevacs over the top. So the medevacs are very, very low, but he isn't able to kill any of them. And if you can't kill the medevacs, then you've let a lot of the valuable attack forces on the ground go through. It's great if you can chain Fungal and take them all out, because then there's no sustain left in the army. But if you can't do that, things get a little bit rough. And now we see all of the Broodlords are out. It's a total of 6, and that's going to necessitate Gumiho falling back. He's actually going to lose these tanks, too.
That's actually something excellent to point out about this map. It is really tough to siege this base against Broodlords. It's, if not, you know, entirely impossible if you're not sitting on the Vikings, which Gumiho is not. He's still not even working on it. No starports thrown down. Link's going to be surrounding these units, and no medevac list, so they will be taken out.
Yep. And looks like he is going to pick off that medevac too. Gumiho actually leaving that for dead. Now finally turns it around, but it dies. And Gumiho is actually coming in with a big drop. That's his advantage. He needs to be mobile right now. The problem is he just gave that away. It flew directly into the path of an Overlord. You saw he tried to juke those units away, but already all of this is starting to come back now for Curious. But in the meantime, this could be a lot of dead drones.
Yeah, Lings are the first responders here, but of course Ling's not doing so well in narrow chokes as we're seeing. That Sport Crawler's still getting a lot of shots off here on these medevacs, however, so this is not going to be any sort of a drop and pick up as I'm losing the fight. Tanks get taken out. Marines still getting a lot of drones here, but in the end, definitely not a victory there for Gumiho, who didn't get too much damage done at that expansion.
He's only killed 10 more workers since the last time we've checked that, and a couple of those came down here. So he only killed about 5 or 6 workers in this drop here in the top left-hand corner. He forced a lot of energy out of the infestors, yes, but you can see there's enough of them that they still have fungal growth to spare.
And he lost like 2 tanks, 4 medevac, or 3 medevacs, several Marines and Marauders as well. Gumiho in a tough spot here right now. Curious is looking pretty good. His Broodlord count continues to grow. And now he's working on Chitinous Plating, so, I mean, an Ultraless follow-up here is also a huge possibility.
And no! Oh, looks like the Ghost is picked up on. And Curious is going to be able to take that up. That was definitely on a little nuke mission. And,
yeah, and that makes it actually really obvious that nukes will soon be on the field. So, Curious, maybe he'll go for some Overseers here. No, I don't see any warping in right now, but he is going to have Overlord speed, so
yes,
that helps a lot.
All right, so nukes are going to be something that Curious has to deal with.
Best fungal growth ever.
Yeah, a couple of Ghosts actually getting picked off there, too. Ooh. So it actually was a little bit of a blow to Gumiho's army. Not sure how many he has left on the field. 8 of them, but I don't know where they're at. It looks like maybe a little pack of them heading down towards the bottom right.
All right, a couple of them sneaking up on these Broodlords right now. And an EMP lands on the Infestors. Beautiful snipes, and Gumiho getting in some very nice damage there.
And now there's just Marines left, and they're actually going to pick off a couple of Corruptors here. Now the fungal growth not going to be able to pin anything down. So even though this army is pushing, Curious now has to worry about all these Ghosts that are running down to the bottom right.
Yeah, and he's very, very low on gas right now, so these extraneous expansions are very important to him. Curious, of course, is what I'm talking about here, because he's sitting only on 400, and, you know, the big tech to Ultras is going to be his huge play here. Ghost will survive these Zerglings, but only narrowly. They are out of energy, and this will be a huge gas loss for Gumiho. These Zerglings clean them up.
Yeah, but Ghosts are ridiculously good against light units. You can see how much damage they actually do. So even without the nuke, he's going to be able to get in here and do a little bit of damage, actually microing these Ghosts away individually to pick off more units. Very cool stuff there. Gumiho allows the rest of his units to get in position towards the middle of the map.
All right, now these units on the left for Gumiho. Gumiho is slowly but surely battling his way back into being in a great position here. We'll see if he can secure an almost even part. Does manage to snipe up a couple of those structures here. Infestors are going to be arriving, throwing down the infested Terrans. Of course, that fungal doing lots of damage right now with its bonus to armored. And this is going to get cleaned up without really any losses at all for Curious.
Very nice job. Another big strike down here at the bottom right. That's almost all the Ghosts that are on the field, though, for Gumiho. So we'll see what damage he can get done. If he picks off the Spore Crawler, too, he's scanning to make sure nothing else is dropping by. But if he picks off the Spore Crawler, then he can go ahead and cloak these up pretty easily.
Kevin, he had like a line of Marines in front of the Ghosts there that absorbed the shots while the Ghosts absolutely shredded those Lings, dropping a nuke. And this is what we were talking about with zoning and positioning earlier, where Curious can actually not send units to reinforce us right now. At the same time, Gumiho striking up into the top left once again, and Curious cannot be losing these expansions. This is so important to him. This hatchery is going to fall down in the bottom right. The nuke lands, which is, as we said, just for zoning purposes. Doesn't manage to get the drones, but he will take the hatch.
Yeah, so 2 hatcheries dead in this attack, and that buys so much time for him. And did we just have another nuke get dropped down somewhere? I'm actually not sure at the moment, but it doesn't look like there's any.
Now, at the same time, we do have a forced lift here on this command center at the 12 o'clock position for Gumiho. A small group of Marines and medevacs going to be making their way down to the bottom left once again. And Gumiho's harass here is really slowly but surely battling him into a position of leading this game, because his bank is massive right now. He's now got every tech option available to him. Really, really liking Gumiho's play.
And he got +1 weapons for his air forces too, but he hasn't invested back into his air army. Only 5 Vikings out on the entire map, otherwise just putting in huge amounts of medevac, so he can be everywhere at the same time.
Nice cancel there out of Curious. Doesn't let the hatchery go down. And, I mean, from Curious's position here, yeah, pushing out across the map is not the worst of decisions, because his economy is just so... He's actually... I mean, he's not mining right now. Does he have that third going? You take a look at the third. All right, so he's got his third base. That's it. That's all he's got running for him right now. Gumiho, on the other hand, you know, he's got that base down towards the right-hand side. Banling's connecting with some Marines here. He's in a great place.
That's a lot of SCVs. Better hope that... Curious doesn't pick up on that, and it looks like Curious is going to push in the middle of the map right now. Snipes, they don't do as much damage against Broodlords, but they still show that they're pretty effective if you have enough energy sitting around. And look at that. Almost all the Broodlords are dead. The last 2 fall, and it's just Corruptors remaining now, and those are all going to get picked up on the way out. Gumiho with a great display of that snipe ability.
So Gumiho is probably going to win this game. So, Kevin, that is metagame. what Gumiho just did right there, the fact that he went for Ghost to counter Broodlords, they are not as good against Broodlords as Vikings, but nobody does it anymore. So Curious just makes Corruptors. These Corruptors are completely and 100% useless against Gumiho's army right now. Units being cleaned up with ease. Gumiho should be able to push here and secure things. We see him pushing actually from 3 fronts right now towards the middle. Those are Changelings. They, of course, are the weakest units that Gumiho has, but he's also pushing at the same time with some Marines up top.
Yeah, I mean, that's 15 Ghosts, and Ghosts do an immense amount of damage against light units, so any sort of a Zergling attack is just going to get thwarted immediately. And they have started to recover enough energy that they can at least snipe a couple of additional units, maybe get one of these Ultralisks down, but no, it looks like he's doing the smart decision and trying to back out. No, now going to engage as Baneling's actually chugging through all of the front line of forces very, very quickly. These Ultralisks are very resilient to the kind of army that Gumiho has out on the map right now. Of course, it's going to necessitate a little bit of a Marauder switch here, but nothing that Gumiho can't deal with.
Yeah, you know, that's really the thing here, is that Gumiho, he's just got such an economy behind this. Curious, as we said, has got nothing going in his favor. Just doesn't want to, you know, let these ghosts get clumped up and annihilated for free, really. Keep them alive, let that energy continue to regenerate. They're basically like wannabe infestors, you know?
Yeah. Well, Cloak
will do nothing.
Yeah, because the splash damage still kills them, even when they're being cloaked, unless they, you know, they can't target a unit that's around them, and the Ultralisks will go find something else. And the last couple of Ultralisks are about to die, just 3 more remaining, and that's actually almost the remainder of the forces for Curious, as he keeps getting picked apart. It's almost no mining for him being done at all.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's out of money and out of options. He's got a couple straggling units left towards the front. And he's got something going on up towards the 3rd base of Gumiho right now. I think it's just a couple of Lings, though.
Yeah, that actually did some pretty good damage. I mean, it's 27 workers killed for him as opposed to his opponent's 59.
Yeah,
but of course, Gumiho's working off of the space down at the bottom right. Yeah, he's way oversaturated there, of course, but he's just doing massive damage.
Yeah, he has got the entire right-hand side of the map. And, well, Republicans aren't looking too good right now, Kevin.
You have the...
I'm sorry, the right and the left,
yes.
the red and the blue. I had...
Gotcha.
Looking like they're going to lose the election. There it is. GG, tapping out.
All right, and Gumiho has put FXO just 1 game away from taking this entire set. StarTale down to their last player. Things are not looking good for them at all.
Yeah, Curious, trying to do what he could there, but, well, now it's going to be left up to StarTale's star player, or one of them, because they have so many of them.
Yeah.
But their last star from StarTale, goodness. Guys, it's Squirtle.
Yeah. Squirtle coming in next, and he's going to choose Abyssal City as the map. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, it's another PVT here between StarTale and FXO. Don't go anywhere.